Hello and welcome to this webinar about emerging alternative materials aiming to disrupt the leather industry. Okay, I'll begin. Just to introduce myself, my name is James Kennedy and I'm a technology analyst at IDTechEx. Firstly, I will briefly introduce IDTechEx. IDTechEx is a technical market intelligence firm providing market research on a variety of emerging and innovative technologies. Our topics cover a wide range, as you can see, from robotics and printed electronics to healthcare and green technology, wearables, energy storage, advanced materials, and a new topic for IDTechEx that we are launching today, that of emerging alternative leather. As analysts, the way we go about our research is that we try and achieve technical depth in our reports, and we embed ourselves within our chosen fields. We are able to devote a lot of time to really building a deep understanding. We perform primary interviews and have continuing conversations with key players in the field to bring that understanding to our readers. Our reports include technology assessments, market outlooks, company profiles, and of course market forecasts. In addition to our market reports, we have a subscription portal where our research can be seen on a rolling basis throughout the year, really allowing users to engage with our analysts more substantially over the course of a yearly or multi-year contract. You can see everything from research reports, company profiles, event highlights, and forecasts across this platform. If you want any information on our research reports or our subscription portal, please click on the link or email research@idtechex.com for more information. It is an extensive and always up-to-date knowledge base suitable for a range of applications. This webinar is introducing our latest report, which is entitled Emerging Alternative Leather 2024 to 2034, Technologies, Trends, Players. This report is available for purchase on our website and for download by our subscribers. Sample pages are available for download online at IDTechEx.com. This webinar will cover background on animal and plastic leathers, market drivers for the change towards alternative bio-based leather materials, an introduction to emerging alternative leather technologies, the go-to-market strategies for companies operating in the space, and any upcoming challenges that might be faced. So first of all, let's introduce our background to the incumbent leather market. I hope to provide a bit of context here for the current landscape of the market, what technologies are utilised, and this will help us understand later on where emerging technologies stand to fit in. So to begin, animal leather. Animal leather consists of processed animal hides, primarily coming from cows, sheep, pigs and goats, but also includes exotic leather sources. Animal leather begins life as a harvested hide from an animal. It then undergoes tanning to chemically alter the structure of the hide, adding strength and preserving the material from decay. This gives animal leather the characteristic strength and durability that is very familiar. On the other hand, plastic leather is primarily composed of PVC, PU, with polyester backings. The structure of plastic leather generally consists of a coating added to a textile base. Plastic leather has existed for many decades but has become increasingly dominant in the market. When measured by approximate surface area of leather materials, it forms the majority of the market by far. Plastic leather is often marketed by brands as vegan leather, as it is of course animal-free. The third category we have here off to the right is recycled leather. This is a wide category, invariably referred to as bonded leather. It is produced from offcuts made during the tanning and manufacture of leather goods, and also, to a lesser extent, recycled post-consumer waste. This is very much an incumbent technology, although there are emerging areas in the recycling of post-consumer waste. The report does contain a chapter on recycled leather, although it's not the focus. Recycled leather technology, due to the nature of the product as it currently stands, is not a very sustainable technology, and therefore, from a sustainability perspective, not a major competitor to vegan bio-based leather. So now for a brief introduction to leather terminology. We can see here on the right a cross-section diagram of the animal hide, with the skin side at the top and the flesh side at the bottom. There are two major types of animal leather, the first of which is grain leather, sometimes referred to as full grain or top grain, which refers to the top side of the animal hide. And the other is that of split leather, which is derived from the lower layer of the corium. This is where suede and nubuck are derived from, as well as coated split leather. Alternative leather materials, including plastic and bio-based alternatives, typically aim to emulate the familiar aesthetic of grain leather. Various terms are used currently to describe emerging alternative leathers. These include vegan leather and bio-leather, as well as plant leather or mushroom leather. The term emerging alternative leather has been chosen by IDTechEx to be used in this report to be as specific as possible with the scope, and that is of materials which are animal-free, they are low in plastic, although this can be variable, derived from a bio-based feedstock, which aims to be sustainable, and aim to be decomposable or easily disposed of. Almost all emerging alternative leathers currently on the market fit this definition. In general, materials on the market are approximately between 1 and 2 millimeters thick. So one of the key questions that needs to be answered is which are the factors that are driving the creation of the market for emerging alternative leathers? One of the key factors that is often mentioned when discussing vegan leather is a comparison with that of animal leather, and the fact that animal leather production has a significant environmental cost. This environmental impact is highlighted in the high greenhouse gas emissions. Estimates vary, but the number is probably between 10 and 20% of global greenhouse emissions being caused by the cultivation of livestock. Additionally, and even more concerningly, up to 90% of deforestation is either to produce food or to create farm space for the cultivation of animal livestock. There are of course also questions arising over global land use for animal cultivation, in the context of increasing demand for resources across the global population, and whether the extent of animal cultivation currently carried out is actually sustainable. Finally, in the case of exotic animal leather acquisition especially, there is the question of the dangers posed by methods of acquisition, including illegal hunting and unsustainable harvesting, and the threat this may have on endangered populations and their habitats. Related to this is the second point here, which is that of the ethics of animal leather production. While this remains a niche position globally, there has been a rise in vegan and animal welfare movements, especially in Western countries, which question the ethics of the utilisation of animal products, and has driven the creation of a wide-ranging vegan goods market. Additionally, related to the high environmental cost of animal leather production, increasing consciousness of an individual's personal carbon footprint is driving a change in consumer behaviour. This forms the third point, which is that growing environmental awareness has had an impact on the market for leather goods and has created demand for sustainable leather alternatives. At present, this has been primarily met by plastic leather goods. So continuing on, plastic leather has not met the need for a long-term sustainable solution. This is pretty clear. The problems with plastic are well known, and these include the reliance on petrochemical feedstocks, challenges with waste disposal, and challenges with recycling. Plastic leather, because of its composite nature, is especially difficult to recycle, and all sorts of problems then follow on with waste disposal globally. Additionally, there are global regulations being introduced by various jurisdictions which are influencing this shift. These include livestock restrictions, carbon taxes, and incentives. So now I'm going to introduce the four major categories of technologies that are being used to create emerging alternative leathers. So there are really four major categories of vegan bio-based leather technologies. These are mycelium, microbial, plant-based, and lab-grown. These technologies are at various degrees of technological readiness and have varying numbers of players in each category. By far most are attempting a plant-based approach, with mycelium following behind. Microbial and lab-grown are generally much lower in technological readiness and are more aspirational technologies at this time. So just a brief covering of what each of these categories is. Mycelium leather consists of the thread-like roots of fungi which form a densely interwoven network, essentially a matte material which can be transformed into leather generally with tanning and a few other processing steps. Plant-based leather is a very wide category that includes several different approaches, including a huge number of input feedstocks. It does not include the scope of bioplastics. Microbial leather involves using the fermentation by microorganisms of various feedstocks to produce compounds which can be processed into a leather-like material. Finally, lab-grown refers to the approach of producing animal hides through cell culture. This is a new technology with much research and development needed if it could become commercial. Mycelium leather is comprised of the roots of fungi which grow into a dense layer. The production process follows that seen here in the top right. This begins with the preparation of a substrate, which is the growth medium. This is then inoculated with mycelium under controlled conditions. This mycelium then grows and is subsequently harvested. It is the harvested mat which is then processed, with compression, tanning and dyeing to produce mycelium leather. Some of the advantages of this production method are that it is able to utilize vertical farming, which can be very efficient for growth processing, allowing for a great degree of control. It is also less resource intensive than conventional farming, using little water and energy. Another advantage is the ability for growth to be carried out in close proximity to the processing facility, allowing for the potential of a more efficient overall process. At present, there is an R&D focus for mycelium leather on improving strains and optimizing growth conditions. Changes here can heavily influence the properties of the final product. For the most part, tanning proceeds as with traditional animal leather, although far more streamlined, introducing chemical cross-linking and strengthening the material. The challenges include the initial capital investment required for production facilities. This is generally very large. This leads to further challenges reaching a competitive price with incumbents. At present, from available information, mycelium leather products are significantly more expensive than animal leather and of course plastic leather. Finally, mycelium is less customizable than other alternatives unless it's coated with a plastic layer. The scope of the definition of plant-based leather refers to materials that are in part derived from plant feedstocks. This scope does not include bioplastics. The production process for plant-based leather varies greatly between companies in the space. However, these can broadly be split into two major categories. The first is the biocomposite method shown here on the right-hand side, which involves processing of plant matter and the formation of a biocomposite, which includes fibers and binders in a homogeneous material. This is formed into sheets and then finished. Alternatively, there is a textile-based method, which follows closely that of the manufacturing process of plastic leather, with one or more of the components replaced with a plant-based alternative. This can either be the textile backing or the coating or both. The feedstocks that are utilised to make plant-based leather vary hugely. They include apple skin, pineapple leaves, cactus, grapes, fruit, bamboo, and other agricultural byproducts, just to name a few. These feedstocks are generally either derived from agricultural byproducts or dedicated cultivated crops. Each of these has its advantages. In the case of agricultural byproducts, by utilising material that would ordinarily be wasted, it contributes to a circular economy and maximises sustainability. However, in the case of dedicated feedstocks, greater control over the plant matter can be achieved, with potentially less processing steps required, and overall a product with greater consistency. Some of the challenges for plant-based leather include achieving plastic-free materials, providing a sufficiently durable material, and the ability to offer wide customization in the final product. The degree to which this is achieved by market players varies wildly, with some focusing on an aesthetic niche while others offering the customizability expected with plastic leather. Out of all the technology categories, most of the companies are placed within the plant-based leather category. Microbial leather, as mentioned, refers to leather produced by the cultivation of microorganisms such as yeast, bacteria, and fungi. These facilitate a fermentation process which produces byproducts which can be processed into a leather material. The production process follows that as seen on the right, which includes microorganism selection and engineering, feedstock selection, and then the preparation of environment and supports, and then finally layer formation and assembly with any post-processing following. The potential advantages of this methodology are that wide ranges of agricultural waste can be used as feedstock, with varying approaches to the microorganisms being used, along with a generally simple production process. However, this is an early stage technology with significant challenges. These include the challenges of scaling production. This is difficult where bioreactors are used, with many considerations on the approach to scaling that should be taken. This leads to potential challenges with staying competitive on price. Many market players also use plastic to improve the material properties of their final products, which impacts the sustainability of the material. Finally, there is significant scope for R&D and optimization of the fermentation process and the composition of the final product. Lab-grown leather is possibly the most ambitious of all the technological categories. We're referring here to leather, which is produced by culturing animal skin cell fibroblasts in the lab to grow into animal skin. As can be seen on the right, this begins with a cell biopsy. These cells are then processed and cultivated in a bioreactor, where they eventually produce collagen assembled by the cells into a skin-like surface. Finally, this material is processed into leather in a similar methodology to that of animal leather. However, this should be a more streamlined process than that needed from a natural animal hide. Whether this technology can be accurately classed as vegan leather is debatable, due to the requirement of cell biopsies. Although the promise of this technology is to produce a product barely distinguishable from natural animal leather, which would avoid the slaughter and harvesting of many animals. It is important to note that at present this technology is in its early stages. A few of the market players originally began producing cultured meat, and then pivoted into a new sector, which is potentially more achievable. At present, only small samples have been able to be produced by even the most advanced companies. There are many challenges associated with lab-grown leather. The first of these is the final aesthetic of the product. Many companies report having challenges achieving the elasticity of animal leather. Many companies are also focusing on producing exotic leather. However, the lab-grown product will not contain any of the characteristic patterning associated with these leathers, or even the grain effect of bovine leather. As a result, significant embossing, dyeing, and other processing is required to emulate as highly as possible natural animal leather. Additionally, scaling production is a problem, as with microbial, and this is a huge challenge which requires significant capital investment. While the lab-based cultivation of a single piece of animal hide is possible, automating and increasing production volume will likely be costly. This leads to the final point on price. The expected price of these lab-grown leathers is to be far higher, actually many times the price of bovine leather. This has led many companies to focus on the generally more expensive exotic leather market, where it may be more feasible to reach price parity with incumbents. Next, we'll cover the go-to-market strategy of emerging alternative leather producing companies. This does not differ significantly between technology categories and is primarily determined by the applications of incumbent materials, with little scope for new applications. The go-to-market strategy for most companies, once they have begun to produce their material, is to begin showcasing their material in various applications. This involves producing small lineups such as fashion items, like shoes or even upholstery. More advanced companies have produced a one-off car interior as a showcase. The three main application area categories can be seen on the right here. These are fashion, interior design, and automotive. The requirements differ between these categories, and leather materials may be more or less suitable for each. Fashion is the most approachable area for entry for leather alternatives. This category includes accessories, footwear, apparel, and bags. For most leather alternative companies, this is the first step to launching their product in a fashion lineup, in partnership with a fashion brand. The aesthetic of the material, colour fastness, and durability are key for these applications. This is also the case for interior design. This category includes upholstery for chairs, sofas, lampshades, etc. Generally, there are higher durability and lifespan requirements than for fashion products. Finally, there is the most aspirational goal for leather alternatives, which is automotive. This comes with the potential of large production runs and reliably large contracts if a company could break through. This is also a general sign of the quality of a leather material. The standards are high, however, especially in terms of durability, with automotive manufacturers requiring a durability of at least 10 years, as well as many other standard thresholds. This includes colour fastness, fire safety, and resistance to the wide temperature changes that can occur in cars left in the sun or in cold conditions. If a material deteriorates under these conditions, then it would not be appropriate for use as automotive leather. The chart on the left shows the final destination of animal leather in the EU. The majority application is fashion, including footwear, accessories and garments. Automotive and design applications, while smaller, are still substantial. Finally, I'll discuss some of the challenges that companies producing emerging alternative leather will face as they attempt to capture the market. There are many challenges for alternative leather companies to succeed. The first is convincing consumers, brands and manufacturers. In the case of brands and manufacturers, the considerations would include the ability for the material to be manipulated in manufacturing, allowing it to be sewn and cut without unusual behaviour. But for all would be the suitability for applications. As mentioned before, this is especially of concern with automotive interiors. This links closely with the next point, which is aesthetic considerations, the likeness to traditional animal leather. In terms of aesthetic, it is important to consider, while there is room for variation, generally materials which can effectively emulate the aesthetic of animal leather would be considered to be more capable to capture market share. Likewise, customizability. The ability for the material to be offered in a range of colours, thicknesses and textures would allow for use in greater number of applications, and companies which are unable to do this to a great extent would be limited. Material strength is also a key challenge. Animal leather is renowned for its reliable strength and durability. Materials which fail to meet this standard inevitably would be less appropriate for many leather applications. A small number of companies claim to have met or exceeded the high material strength of animal leather, but most market players are unlikely to meet this level. Another fact to consider is the sustainability and disposal of the material itself, which includes its ability to decompose and the ease of recycling of the material. Additionally, the extent to which the manufacture, from feedstock to final product, has a lower environmental impact than incumbents. Almost all companies that have entered this space have stressed sustainability as a key selling point for their material. Companies that are unable to provide a material that can be easily recycled will be at a significant disadvantage to those that can. This ease of disposal is closely connected to the plastic content of the material. At present, the vegan bio-based leather market contains a wide range of plastic contents that range from a large number of plastic-free products to some that contain mostly plastic. At present, the major challenge for some players is balancing material strength with providing a plastic-free material. Another consideration for companies is having to overcome initial investment hurdles. This includes capital investment for factories. One notable market leader has cited funding issues for a recent indefinite suspension of the production of their vegan leather product. Where the production process is less able to take advantage of currently implemented technologies, the price is higher. This ultimately results in a product with a greater cost. Where materials are unable to compete on price, their market share will continue to be limited. At present, with available data, prices range significantly by material and technology, with all but plant-based with significantly higher product costs at present. Finally, facing the competition. The nascency of the market and the large number of players, all offering different products, with even market leaders yet to reach market penetration, means that the upcoming years will see a race to be the first to scale and penetrate the market. The overall leather goods market is a large one, and with even a moderate market share being a lucrative goal. Therefore, companies at present have a huge opportunity if they can overcome other challenges to break into the market without facing significant competition in the early stages. Ultimately, if large parts of the plastic and animal leather markets are willing to switch to sustainable alternatives, the potential is huge. The ability of the material to perform to the required standards for the application at a competitive price will be the deciding factor in success. So to summarise then, looking back over this webinar and the general vegan bio-based leather market as a whole, the takeaway from this is that this is a market in its early stages and expected to grow at a significant rate over the next 10 years. We have over 70 companies which are developing 4 major technology categories to produce next generation leather materials. This will unlock huge opportunities for fashion brands, material producers and automotive OEMs, along with many other sectors involved in the leather industry. We expect market leaders to face key tests in the next few years and a massive ramping up in production, especially over the next 5 years and beyond, as more brands begin to utilise these materials. There will be heavy competition between emerging players to capture the market and a race to reach key milestones first. For example, the first vegan bio-based leather material applied commercially in the automotive space. Our market report breaks down not just the technologies themselves, but the key market players and notable entries to the market. We include a market forecast and cover some of the key trends. We also benchmark materials and technologies, along with extensive SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats facing each category. If you'd like to find out more or purchase the report, the link is right here on the right, and you can download the sample pages there. I'd like to thank you all for attending this webinar today. If you are interested in any of our research, please contact us at research@idtechex.com. We can explore how to support you and your research needs. The full list of our reports is available on our website, as well as a full list of the topics that we cover as a company. Goodbye, everyone.